October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the Mankato Clinic is encouraging women to schedule a screening. 1 out of every 8 women are diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime, and it is recommended that women above 40 be screened for breast cancer every year. And that number can go even younger if they have risk factors like familial history of breast cancer or ovarian cancer, or are a smoker. The clinic says that frequent screenings are crucial to early detection, which is often a deciding factor in battling cancer.
Treating breast cancer when it's caught early is easier and also more successful. So the sooner it is caught, the easier it can be dealt with and treated.
Women should check with their primary doctor about screening and more information.